Go hit it.
Okay. Good evening. We have a motion to call the meeting to order.
I make a motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Please rise to the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Very nice not to hear an echo. Just saying there. All right, well, welcome everyone. And we're going to begin with news of the schools. I'll turn it over to Adam.
Yes, why don't we start with Karen Cudith and the elementary school?
Hi, good evening, everybody. Thank you. So I have a few things that I'd like to share this evening. I'll start with a fundraiser that John Marshall has started. This was an event that was originally scheduled for last year, and it's a Booster-thon dance fit. So in conjunction with the PTA, John Marshall is participating in a fundraiser to benefit our hometown heroes and our wellness program in the building. So communication has started going out to families, and on April 30th, we will have a big kickoff event, a lot of anticipation in the building for that event. And then the main event is a dance fit event that will happen through their PE classes. So that is underway, and we're very excited about that program in the building. I'll also share that we have posted the dual language application for our rising kindergartners. So our pre-K students all went home with that application yesterday. An email went out to pre-K families letting them know, and you can find that application on the John Marshall website. All applications for the program are due on May 28th, and that's a pretty hard deadline, that May 28th deadline to have that application in. So if you need a copy of that, it's on the John Marshall website. And we're getting ready next week. On the 28th, we'll have our ELA state test. It's certainly a modified test this year. We're only administering session 1 of both our ELA and math exam. So we're preparing for that as well, but enjoying a lot of time outside. The tents are back up on our campus, and our students are and teachers are getting outdoors as much as they can.
Okay, Mr. Crenshaw?
So we have our students back, which is really exciting. Speaking with a lot of the teachers there, very happy to have, a good chunk of their students back in class and to be able to deliver instruction normal, which is, very different, for the first time this year. Obviously, we still do have a good chunk of kids who are full remote, but, the overwhelming majority, I think it's well over 800 plus students who are with us in the building. We would like to, like I said last time, we would still like some improvement on the attendance, but that's something that we're going to work on, over time. We are, and I sent something out earlier today, we received some guidance from the Department of Health, which is a little bit of a challenge regarding events. So it kind of set some guidance out there, in terms of how we're going to be dealing with those events, which check your email. I don't want to spend the entire time here going over it because there's quite a bit. But please check that out because it'll give us an idea of what we're doing. We are looking with the board support to do graduation on a Saturday using the football field. That way we can have the entire graduating class. That was a pretty large priority instead of having them separated in multiple, graduations, having them together, which fortunately our bleachers could fit about 233 kids socially distanced. So we should be in pretty good shape for that. Obviously with the unfortunate part is having limitations on how many people can attend, but that's something that's kind of been set forward by the Department of Health. They're kind of a blessing and a curse at the same time because it gave us kind of a direction to go, but sometimes you don't always like what you hear. We are going forward, at least we're shooting to go forward with a senior banquet. The guidelines, once again, we're pretty restrictive with that in terms of dancing. If you ever sat down to read it, I mean, it's definitely a challenge that we're working through, but we're going to make sure we have, something for our students. The junior class, actually, instead of doing a junior prom, which I think was very wise, and I saw some strong leadership from them. They've decided to not have the prom this year. They felt that it would probably be better to do something, mid-year next year when there aren't so many restrictions, so they can actually, have a robust experience. So I thought that was a pretty smart call on their part. That's pretty much it right now. We're going forward, kind of wrapping things up at the end of the year, doing some end of the year planning, and also starting to have our eye peeking a little bit towards next year. But I think that's pretty much it.
Thanks, James.
Do you have a date for graduation? Do you have a date?
Yes, the date that we're targeting is June 26th. It's a Saturday. We're shooting for a morning graduation. I think the way we had it laid out is the kids would get there at 8, parents would start filing in at 9. We would start promptly at 10 and, shoot to get everyone out there, done by 11. That way we can avoid, the heat from that day. We're still talking a June day. So I think we should have a pretty good time there.
Thank you.
Thanks, James.
That's something we wanted to do last year, we weren't allowed to.
No, we can do it.
Adam, was our graduation on a Saturday always?
No, we moved it so a bunch of years ago. I moved it
Only like 5
to
years
Friday
ago.
evening. Yes, so we did it because of the heat on the Saturday morning in the tent. So the tent tape seemed to accumulate heat over the week, and then by Saturday morning, no matter what time you did it, under the tent, it became like almost like a steam room in there.
Right.
So we moved it to the evening on Friday, which is also still a steam room. So it holds everything in, even with the fans on. It doesn't do it justice.
Yeah.
Out on the field, I mean, you probably have to deal with the sun a little bit, but I think the field itself will be hot. So you probably have good air circulation be much better than a normal graduation.
Yeah, the reason for the timing of it.
And I remembered it being overly hot.
You didn't have to wear a big gown.
Well,
Clothes on it.
yeah, it's probably.
And you have hair to absorb the sweat.
Well, I mean, maybe because it was Friday night.
I like it.
Could we ask that the principals, when they have all their dates for the year and stuff, could they get them out to us, please?
Yep, will do.
And the graduation is going to be still videoed, correct? Even if we do it in person?
LTV will be doing it, yes, it's.
Yep.
And we'll be doing it, if we're doing it in football field, we'll be doing it without a tent.
Out of, yes.
Without a tent, that.
So it's a Saturday morning without a tent.
Mhm.
Correct.
And you're only allowed, what, 50%?
Yeah, I forget. I've been reading so much. It depends on the size, but short version is about 500. So you figure 233 graduates who would be in the stands. So on the field, if everyone had 2, that brings us to 466. You add in staff, board members, et cetera, then, you start to get close to that 500 mark.
And that's with testing, right?
Yeah.
Prove.
Yeah, they're pretty, the state guides were pretty clear about what's expected. That's why I put that out so people kind of had a heads up, in terms of what would be expected. Not only do we need a guest list that would be in advance, we also have to do a health screening in advance. When people come there, they either need to show proof of test, proof of completed vaccination, which means both shots, or proof that you have been completed in isolation within 90 days. So there's those 3 things.
So it's test or vaccinated, right?
Yeah, you got to hit one of those 3 targets. So you can need to come with proof of that for pretty much every event that we have going forward. And the guest list, obviously, and I'll send something out.
So we can't have a tent, or we don't
No,
want
the
it.
tent restricts the number of people because of the way it's written. Because that is technically, James, I don't know, I mean, we haven't talked, but that's really considered almost like an indoor venue.
Yeah, essentially it does. This way, using the field and the way that we're doing it allows us to have the most possible people. Because you got to remember, with the tent, now you're also kind of looping in the graduates in there where they're kind of separate, with this. So honestly, when you start to read it, it really kind of forces you in particular directions. There's not, even though it seems like there's a lot of choice, there really isn't when you start looking at, the restrictions that are there.
So then are we going to have rain dates and things like that?
Yeah. So The reason that I chose a date that we did was, one, started with the Saturday morning. The idea is that the field would not heat up. By the time it started to heat up, we would actually be leaving. And I figure we have another slice of the apple depending on if it were to rain, the timing of the rain. So maybe we'd have another slice of the apple later on in the evening. If not, then the following day, we would have 2 other slices of the apple, once in the morning and then again, in the evening. So hopefully that's 4 possibilities. I'm praying we don't have rain 2 days in June. So which doesn't seem to be typically the case. Rain seems to be most prevalent in May in the Hamptons. Went and looked all that information up. So I think we'll be in pretty good shape. Of course, Adam ruined it when he said that in his years, he never once had it rain on the day of graduation.
Yeah.
I'm very lucky, but James is even luckier because he can have a senior banquet and the kids can't dance. That is the best thing to have. And if you have a homecoming dance with no kids dancing, too, would be awesome.
Yeah.
There is an area that they have to have.
And now with others, so that's brilliant. That's an actual positive byproduct of COVID.
So if you were to read the guidelines when it comes to dancing, it gets really crazy about basically the table that you're with is the only group that you'd be able to dance with. And it has to be sectioned off and it has to be 6 feet away from the next group. When you start mapping that out in like a real life, it's A, how do you map that out over what space? And B, how do you even come close to monitoring that? Like I wouldn't.
Good luck.
Yeah, like that it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. Once again, it was nice that they gave us some guidelines, but when you read them, they were very limiting in what we can do. But that being said, and I got to give, props to our senior advisors. They're working really hard to have a really robust, program for our students. They have a little surprise that they have, for the kids that's going on. They're looking to get like food trucks, which actually at first I was like food trucks, but then as they described it, I was like, oh, that actually sounds really good. And the students, who are involved in planning seem pretty excited about it too. So I think we're going to have a good time. It's just going to be a little bit different than other proms, but definitely way better than last year's senior banquet. That I can assure.
Yeah.
So,
Where,
you got to look at the silver lining sometimes.
where is it again? Is it going to be here on the?
It's going to be here. We're going to have a tent.
Great.
All right, so the middle school. So we just did our first day or last day of testing. We gave the kids the ELA today. Big shout out to the middle school staff, aid office staff, especially for putting together and distributing all the exams. We had a number of opt-outs, a little higher than normal, which is no surprise. The test had approximately 28 questions and kids had unlimited time. We obviously did not put an emphasis on this year on the test, just as the state has it in the federal government, but kids did come in and they did take it. We'll see how they do, and we'll use that data. Kind of be it's going to be a little skewed, obviously, because we were hybrid there for a while. End of the year stuff let me skip to this. We have tents now outside outside of the middle school, just the same as the high school tents. Those will be used for lunch and instructional purposes. The staff seems very excited for that. They can get out front. It's just great, and we're very lucky to have the ability to get the tents. We rented those tents. We did not buy them. Again, all students have been back for 3 weeks. I must say I've now met with all the teacher teams multiple times. I have never seen a more thrilled staff to have their kids in person. They are absolutely ecstatic about having the kids and being with them in front of them. It's just a great feeling, I think, for all involved. My last real thing I just want to say is tomorrow is, and this is kind of my thing, but tomorrow is National Administrative Assistant Day. So this is a big shout out to all the clerical in the district. They do an incredible amount of work. They make the administrators almost look good. It's just untold amount of work considering what was going on with the pandemic. And tomorrow is their little day. We do little things for them throughout the day, but I just wanted to say that publicly, that we really, really appreciate all your hard work.
Thank you.
I have a question about people opting to is there any decrease or increase in the number of students opting out, and James mentioned briefly an attendance problem.
So for the middle school, the opt-out numbers are below almost, I think we're below 25 now total. There are less than, I think there are 2 kids, 6th grade, that are opted out or not in school. Again, big shout out to Joe Stanicola, Barbara Tracy, and Tony Lazare for reaching out and getting these kids back in school. The middle school kids, and I've seen it from now, I've run the gamut from the high school down. There's a lot of struggle going on with these kids, and more than I've ever seen at a middle level, especially in a small school like this. There's been a lot of challenges, and we're just trying to get the kids in person. At this level, we are, it's paramount for them to be in school. So we've had to, do some significant home visits to parents. Dan Hartnett, Barbara Tracy, they've gone to homes to try to get the kids in, and they've done an incredible job pulling these kids back. Thank you to Karen, who some of these kids are home because their siblings at John Marshall are home. So we've called, and basically Karen's been like, no, we can get them back in. So we've been able to get the middle schooler back in. So that's the work that's going on behind the scenes to get these kids back in school where they belong. James has a little different situation. There's obviously a different dynamic at the high school with kids not wanting to be in school and wanting to be very creative with things. We have a smaller number of that at the middle school.
And then, John, did you want me to answer for John Marshall? We have a very small number of opt-outs. We can count on one hand so far the families that have opted out of testing, and 9 of our roughly 45 remote students, 9 of them are coming in and want to test.
Yeah. I wasn't necessarily talking about opting out. I was talking about now that we're in all 3 of our buildings, we've tried to get all our kids back. And in doing that, is there any increase or decrease in the people that are still, nobody can be hybrid, but they are distance learning? Is that number decreasing or increasing?
We asked for families to make a commitment for that 3rd trimester. So our number is now going to stay the same for the remainder of the year, barring any, extenuating circumstance in a family that, is truly asking for that child to come back. But our families have made a commitment now for the 3rd trimester to stay remote.
And what's that number, Karen?
I want to say we're at 45. I know, Adam, I just sent it to you the other day. I think we started in the 80s of remote, and then the 2nd trimester, we were in the 70s, and now we're in the 40s. So students have been coming back into the building each trimester.
In the high school, how many people are still out? I'm sorry, Dave said this.
Yeah, I think we're like at 138 or so, somewhere floating around there. It's overall down from where we were at the beginning of the year, but it's still high. But that I don't even think really gives the full story, because we've had students, not so much now that we have everyone back, we've made it clear if you're back, but we've had a substantial amount of students who were supposed to be in full, but would stay home, be on the meet, sometimes not do the meet. So there was a little bit inconsistency there. There is a little push-pull that we're feeling this week, with students realizing, oh man, I really have to attend school for real. So, which is a good thing, but we're starting to feel that right now.
Yep. Okay. So we've got consent agenda. May I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
Public comment.
I'll make a motion.
I'm sorry, so I already skipped that. My mistake. Matt, do we have anybody for public comment?
We have 0 callers right now, and just for the record, I have tested the phone lines. Everything is open and clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry for skipping that again. The consent agenda. Can I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The superintendent's report and recommendations. Number 1, recommend the board approve the following resolution. Resolved that upon the recommendation of superintendent of schools, Tiffany Patterson, be granted a 1-year leave, unpaid leave of absence for the position as teacher of English as a new language effective July 1st, 2021. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion. I'll second.
Second. Discussion. I think that'll explain itself on the next item. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 2, recommend the board approve the following resolution. Resolve that upon the recommendation of superintendent of schools, Tiffany Patterson be appointed to a 4-year probationary term as Director of P&L for the administrative tenure area of Director of P&L. Can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Congratulations.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you very much
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Very
Elizabeth.
grateful for the opportunity. Thank you.
for being here tonight as well.
Yeah. And thank you again, as John said, to Elizabeth for all your great
Yeah.
work for the district.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you
Good.
so much.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 3, recommended that the board approve the following resolution. Resolved that in compliance with the provisions of section 3012 of the Education Law, part 30.3 of the rules of the Board of Regents, and upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the board does hereby appoint Tiffany Patterson to the administrative position of Director of E&L, holds a valid New York State certification in the AFSID area for a probationary period of 4 years unless sooner terminated in accordance with the applicable law effective July 1st, 2021, and to expire on August 31st, 2025, that to be paid at the initial annual salary of $135,000. Have a motion?
I make a second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 4. Recommended the board approve the following resolution. Resolve the Board of Education of the East Hampton Union Free School District pursuant to Rule 14 of the Suffolk County Civil Service Commission upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, does hereby appoint Vanessa Chummy to the position of Office Assistant, Spanish speaking, for a probationary period of 26 weeks, effective April 26, 2021, as to be paid as the annual salary based on $39,081. Have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 5, recommend the board approve the following appointments for the 2020-21 school year, beginning with John Marshall Lunch Monitor, and all the way down to Scholastic Coaches, ending with Kevin Gary. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Carrie, can you just note that I'm going to abstain? My son is on that list, so I'm going to abstain. I told him I was going to vote against him. But, I won't do that. So I'm just going to abstain
Okay,
for the
thank
record. Number 6, recommended the board approve the following amended appointment to each an additional secondary P&L section due to the increase in enrollment effective Monday, April 19th, 2021, through the remainder of the 2020-21 school year as follows. Nina Santa Cruz for $23,567.40. Can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second. Any discussion? That's a contractual item. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 7, recommended the board approve the third amendment resolution as follows. Resolved that the board appoint the following persons for their services at the annual school board budget vote election to be held Tuesday, May 15th, 2021. And it begins with Carrie Stevens as chairperson and down to Julia Mead as the last person on the list there. Additional election inspectors and personnel may be appointed as needed. Can I have a motion?
And we're gonna add Kaylin Clark.
Yes, and we're adding Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark as a, she's not on the agenda, but she's added to the official resolution. Motion?
I make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Standard fare? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 8, recommend the board approve the library reading log from January 1st, 2021 to March 11th, 2021. Discard obsolete and damaged books from the East Hampton Middle School Library Media Center collection. I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second? Any discussion?
Cute name.
Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 9, recommend the board approve the following resolution. Whereas the middle school Surf Rider Club has proposed a project to plant white pine seedlings in the Edwards Hole Nature Preserve, which is owned by the town of East Hampton. And whereas the town of East Hampton will permit said project to proceed, provided the district agrees to release claims resulting from, to identify the town against claims arising out of said project by executing an agreement entitled release of all claims and agreement to indemnify and hold harmless. And whereas the district insurance underwriter, NYSER, has confirmed coverage against such claims, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education agrees to claims resulting from indemnify the town of East Hampton against claims arising out of said project in consideration for the town's permission for the Surf Riders Club to engage in a tree planting project at the Edwards Hole Nature Preserve. And be it further resolved that the board president be hereby authorized to execute the above mentioned agreement on behalf of the district. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second. Any discussion? Pretty cool.
Yeah,
Great
well,
idea.
Surf Rider just want to plant trees, and this is what they have to go through.
Yeah, well, listen, no good deed. You know?
Yes, yes,
And it sounds like a good project.
it's a great project.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 10, recommend that the board approve the following resolution. Be it hereby resolved that the Board of Education of the East Hampton Union Free School District approve the engagement letter between the Board of Education and Lewis Fabrizios, Discard and Smith LLP to retain the services of Lewis. Let's see. Yeah, they're holding the name again. And then District Council represent the district's interest in a pending litigation entitled Dominic Baldy versus East Hampton Union Free School District et al. For the 2020-21 school year in accordance with the terms and conditions set forth in the engagement letter, and be it further resolved that the president of the board is authorized to execute said agreement on behalf of the Board of Education. Can I have a motion?
I'll second.
Second, discussion is, this is a lawsuit. I don't know how much we can actually discuss, but the district is involved in a lawsuit from someone that's suing a bunch of different school districts. We've sort of partnered up with the same attorney, so it'll be a less cost to the district to defend us on a, I don't even, the details, it's an asbestos, I believe.
Kind of like a class action fishing.
Yeah, it's a class, yeah, basically that's what it comes down to. It's, he worked at a bunch of different school districts and obviously something happened and he's suing all of us, so.
Can I ask you a question? I think this was, we went over this, I just can't remember. Is there a limit in this to how much we pay?
I don't think we had, was there a limit?
No.
I don't think there was not.
But it's like $20 an hour, I think, per district. I think is what we have, and we
I
have
think
to
it
have
works out
someone.
even less than that.
Was it even less? Yeah, it was a small amount. Nevertheless, it's still money, but yeah. I don't know if we cannot have.
No, I know we have to be represented. That's what our
Yeah.
legal counsel said.
No, maybe we can just get a report every now and again as to where we are, so we know, because we've been down that chute before. So did we get a motion? Did I get a motion?
Yeah, got a motion?
So all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 11, recommended the board accept with gratitude a donation from Mr. Edward Cashin of the indoor-outdoor Kettler ping pong table to be utilized for the student recreation activities. Have a motion?
I make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Mr. Cashin.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you, the kids. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 12, recommend the board approve the following resolution for your resolved for the East Hampton Union Free School District Board of Education hereby casts its vote and approves the administrative budget for Eastern Suffolk BOCES for the 2021-22 school year.
Yeah.
Have a motion?
I like it.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
That's big bucks.
Big bucks, and we have to do it every year, and we don't have a choice.
Right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 13, recommend the board approve the following resolution. Be hereby resolved with the East Hampton Union Free School District Board of Education hereby cast one vote for each of the 5 following Eastern Suffolk BOCES board candidates. And it begins with Arlene Baresi and it ends with Robert Sweeney of Mount Sinai. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second? And discussion, this is also standard every year with these elections. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 14, recommended the board approve the following tax anticipation note resolution of the East Hampton Union Free School District, New York, adopted April 20th, 2021, authorizing the issuance of a not to exceed $20 million tax anticipation note in anticipation of the receipt of taxes to be levied for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2021. I'm not going to read all of that other stuff there, but the tax anticipation note is what we need to get through from one school year to the other, because we do not get our tax money up front. We basically have to collect it after the tax. So it's something we do every year. We're still AAA, right, Keith? So we get a really low interest rate. There's nothing we can really much do about it because we have to do payroll and things like that in between. So it's a standard that we do every year. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Did we do it the roll call? Yeah, I was going to just ask.
Karen?
No.
No? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 15, recommended the board authorize the assistant superintendent for business to make the year-end budget transfers for the school year ending June 30th, 2021. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? It's also this time of year. It's what we do this week. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 16, recommend the board adopt the 2021-22 proposed budget in the amount of $75,157,245. Have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second? Any discussion? I think we discussed this for at length, but if anybody else, anything they want to add, please go ahead.
When do we have the public meeting on this? Is next week?
Yeah.
May 4th.
6 p.m.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 17, recommend the board approve the following resolution and resolve that the Board of Education of the East Hampton Union Free School District approve the real property tax report card prepared by the district's business office for the 2021 annual district meeting, and give further resolve that a copy of said report card shall be submitted to the State Education Department by the end of the next business day following this approval. Can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Also a requirement that we have to do for the state.
I'll submit it tomorrow.
We'll send it out tomorrow. And any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 18, recommend the board approve the following budget transfer as follows. It begins with retiree health insurance and it ends with salary. So it's basically building transfers for teachers that's usually for teachers that work in different buildings.
Yeah.
Okay. Have a motion?
I'll make it.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? It's not additional funds, it's just moving from one line to the other as we're required to. All in favor?
Aye.
So here we have the calendars for committee schedules. April 28th is personnel and athletics. And the May committee schedule is May 13th facilities at 9:15, May 14th academic at 1, policy, usually directly have to follow the academic. And May 26th is personnel and athletic 1 and 2 o'clock. They follow each other. So we have old business.
Well, I just, so we've ended our fall season, is that right? Or just about ended it?
Yeah, we have teams that are installing the
Have we started our spring season?
Monday the 26th.
Okay. And we got any teams left in the playoffs?
You have swimming, you have golf, boys and girls cross country, and boys soccer. They're still playing, and they'll be done by this weekend. Everybody ends up this week. Except for golf, which may extend another week. If we pass.
Anything we got new business. So we got National Teachers Appreciation Week.
Yep.
You want to speak to any of that stuff?
Yeah, so, I think this is even more of a special time for our teachers. Again, I brought up our clerical and the support we do, but I think teachers across the country have struggled with an inordinate amount of challenges this year and to educate the kids and, the obstacles that they've been able to surmount and be flexible. It's really been appreciated. I know if Ms. Burns was here, he'd say the same thing. Speaking specifically of all the teachers in the building, the EHBA. It's been more than a pleasure, and we really have appreciated the work they've done, and again, the flexibility. God knows, I mean, Mr. Crenshaw just outlined all the different things coming down from the state, back and forth with different regulations. You can't even move, and the flexibility has been really appreciated by the administration.
Absolutely. And then we move on to the continuation of in-person board meetings. So we want to be able to let the public in sooner than later. And I think now that people are getting vaccinated and we have some sort of a course of order to do so. I know there's been a floor plan discussed. Have the meeting in the auditorium. Is that what we're looking at?
Yep.
That's what we used to do before we had this wing. If you remember going to old board meetings, you'd be in the auditorium. Plenty of room there. We can social distance, spread out. If you want to touch on anything else that you want to add to that?
Yeah, no, I mean, we're looking to, welcome back the public safely. We've been in contact with LTV. They will stream the meeting just like they're doing now. I think the kind of the format here will kind of be what they use, meaning you will have the capacity to call in still if you're not at that meeting. We are thinking about we're thinking about is limit to 35 people. That would include the administrative team. So approximately 30 people, the question to the board will be, do you want people to pre-register? Can they pre-register? Is that allowed? We're going to block off rows, mask at all times. We are going to have a COVID form, like James said. I'm treating it very much like what the state has given us guidelines for indoor meetings. So things have to, obviously, we're not in 500 people there,
Right.
but you'll have to fill out a COVID form.
Yeah,
There's
so
still
for
another,
contact tracing and
Yeah.
things like that, which is, when you go to the dentist, you go anyplace else, you have to do those things.
Do we have to have a limit do we have to limit the number of people we allow in?
well, we technically, when you
So
look at the numbers, yeah, you have to do percentage wise and stuff like that. But I would recommend starting, with allowing 30 people in. I think that's safe. And
That would be
safe.
like, I can name, I've been on the board now for a while, I
I
can
know.
name how many meetings and what they were about.
Right,
If we've ever had
Right.
that many, so I'm not concerned about that,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
And if we know we're gonna have something like that, we can address it at the time.
yeah, I do think that it makes sense. Are we not allowed to pre-register people?
Carrie, that might be a Carrie question.
I think you're supposed to.
I think it would make sense to have people pre-register.
I think
It can be done either way. It's up to you guys, how you want to handle it.
We don't
I
have to.
I don't want to exclude somebody if we're under the 30 and they haven't pre-registered.
Right, but we just encourage people to pre-register so we have a sense of how many
Yeah,
people.
they
are
can fill their
coming.
form out essentially ahead of time. That's what we
Right.
basically.
One of us, I mean, there is security here. One of us, maybe Tim or myself or Keith, we could make sure that people are coming in, filling out the forms. If they pre-registered, we could work on the pre-registered form, and then we can hand out the form, the contact tracing, and we will collect that, let everybody in. Well, again, the rows will be blocked. Yes, you can sit with your family, but every other row is going to be blocked in the auditorium. We'll tell everybody not to sit with people who are not part of their family. Again, I don't anticipate having
No.
hundreds of people.
Barricade storm.
No, and the thing is, if you don't feel comfortable coming to me, you still can call in
Right.
on the LTV line for people that, for whatever reason can't come or don't
Yes.
feel comfortable. You don't want to stop them, so.
Yeah, and in technology, we reviewed with LTV, a better camera system that really follows the voices and movement. And again, we also recommended doing it in the Zoom format like this, just so we can continue to use the telephone feature.
Good, yeah, no, I think it's important that we continue, at least for the foreseeable future anyway, because you're gonna be people that don't feel comfortable coming in. And if more than 30 want to come, maybe figure out, I don't know, taking turns, something, we'll figure that out if we get there. Usually, there's 3 people in the audience, so
Right.
I'm not all that overly concerned with it. Right, yeah, and 2 of them reported, so, so that's good. And then budget hearing, which is scheduled for Tuesday, May 4th at 6 p.m. So our regular meetings at 6:30, the budget meeting starts at 6 o'clock. Now our regular meeting will, follow up after that. One thing that's not on there, I just wanted to mention that nominating decisions were in, and our 3 current board members that are running, Christina, Sarah, and Justine, are the only 3 candidates running. Thank you guys for filling the spot, and I think it speaks volumes for this board and you guys individually that no one else is running, but that's just my opinion. Public comments. Anybody else, anything else have new business, old business? We good? Public comments, Matt, do we have anybody for public comment further?
Zero callers, JP. Thank you.
Terrific, okay. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Well, I'm just frightened that I think that we'll have this open meeting in the auditorium, and nobody will come.
No, I was actually having the same thought, John, which is the reason why I'm saying if you pre-register, then we can have it here.
Well, that's a valid point.
I would really rather.
But then
have
what if
us all
somebody
this
shows
way.
up, we're not gonna turn them away?
But all the administrators will be coming, so we need
Oh,
more
okay.
room.
Yeah, we
right?
should just space out down there anyway.
Okay.
It'd be better even, this is the most we've had of anyone in a room
In
yet.
a long time.
And I mean, in a real long time, I think this is about as much May as you want it.
Yeah.
Frankly, if we're
Now,
gonna be spaced
am I
out
right?
properly.
This is the meeting we present our budget, right?
Yeah, and the fourth.
And
one,
then
yeah.
for that reason, I just think we have to try to make it as much
Accessible.
public. If anybody has any questions,
Want to make
please
sure they can answer.
Right.
either call in or come,
Yeah.
all right?
And I think everything's starting to open up a little bit. We'll crack the valve and we'll try it. If it doesn't work, we'll
And,
readjust.
I think it's important to say that our budget is under the cap
Yes, it is.
and has been looked at very carefully and hopefully, but by the way, the state aid has been pretty good this year, right? And that's a big plus too. So anyway, it's all good. And I'm glad we got 3 good candidates.
Me too.
I can't imagine if 1 or 2 of them decided not to run, what would happen?
You have to come here twice, John.
That'd be 2 people.
All right, so we're good? Have a motion to adjourn?
Make it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you guys very much. Thanks, LTV.
Thank you.
Have a good night, guys. Thanks for coming.